you don't read Gunna in Curious George books, right? So
I don't read a lot of Curious George books.
Well,
but
your literacy is not my problem.
Hello YouTube, Retro Prime here from Retro Prime Gaming, and today I'm joined with
Coty Corvette.
Alright, and today we're going to be doing a retro talk. This is where we talk about old school goodness, vintage video games back in the heyday, and we're going to start it off by getting a little bit of information here from Coty Corvette. So what is your gaming history? Okay. Where did it all begin?
So I think that my history in general is a gaming history. Pretty much every major event in my life I can attribute to some game at that time. But it all started, I think my earliest memory in general is of Double Dragon 2, The Revenge. I was just a wee lad, and I remember standing up on the side of a recliner chair and just watching my dad beat the snot out of thugs. So
we talked a little bit the other day about Obobo. Now, when I was young, I had a nightmare about Obobo, just hopping through a wall, busting through. That was a scary dude. I mean, the Double Dragon series was a very awesome game. And that's where it all started for you?
Double Dragon was the start, and then just from there it was just NES for several years.
Cool. And what was the last game that you played?
The last game? Like as of recently?
Yeah, like today, yesterday?
Well, last night I popped in The Last of Us again for a New Game Plus, and put on the headset, and with the surround sound and everything like that, it was more terrifying than I had expected.
In a good way, though.
In a good way.
Cool.
Yeah.
So up next, what was the first game that like blew you away with its graphics? Like you pop it in, not sure what to expect, and then you're just like, oh, this is amazing.
Well, the first game that really blew me away with graphics was actually Virtua Fighter at the arcade. I had no experience with 3D graphics, SNES, NES. I'm walking through as that wee little ad I was talking about earlier, and I look up and then I see, I forget her name, the female character with the blonde hair.
I don't know.
Anyway, she had a 3D ponytail, and I was like, what the hell is this? Like, this isn't video games, this is reality.
Yeah.
So, looking back on it, obviously they've got the jagged noses, and they need some surgery done. But at the time, I was just like, there is a world outside of SNES and Genesis graphics.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, anyone remembers seeing that game, and it was intense. I mean, we hadn't seen anything like that up until that point. And yeah, I mean, to this day, that game sticks out in my mind as one of the biggest jumps. The other one I remember was the first time I played Mario 64.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Getting to be Mario in that 3D environment and just running around, jumping like an idiot over and over and over just to hear him jump.
Or playing with his face,
Yeah,
grabbing his nose and pulling on his nose and then letting it rubber snap back. Or, on SNES, we actually had, like, Star Fox.
Oh, yeah.
Which was kind of... It was
Do a barrel roll.
Yeah, it was doing the 3D sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it was kind of on inferior hardware. And then when we started seeing games that were like, that was the norm, that's when I think I was like, hey, things are changing. Things are going to be totally different moving forward. Right when I saw Virtua Fighter.
I hear a lot of like old school arcade gamers talk about the Star Wars game, kind of like in the same way we're mentioning this. And to be fair, I mean, Donkey Kong, Joust, I don't know. And then Star Wars, like this, space shooter, like, yeah, it's crazy how much things just jump like that from one game to another.
Just all of a sudden it just hits you that, like, if you don't jump on that bandwagon, like, you're going to get left behind, so, which is fine.
So, next question here, this is a hot one. PlayStation 4 or Xbox One?
Okay, so to be completely honest, just to come out and say it, PS4, no question. Honestly, outside of launch lineup, I don't see any reason to even go for the Xbox One, being that the hardware is so similar. There's been reports, obviously, that the Xbox One is underperforming compared to the PS4 on the same games. I don't think it's going to always be that way. But as of right now, if I were to buy a console at launch, it would definitely be PS4. That being said, not going to buy a console at launch. I'm going to give it probably until March when we've got stuff like Watch Dogs coming out. Man. Titanfall even.
Yeah.
For Xbox One.
You're wrong though. It's the Sega Dreamcast. So whenever you have to choose, it's always the Sega Dreamcast.
Yeah. I'll play Dreamcast till then.
You're totally right, man. I'm not a fan of buying consoles at launch. Mm-hmm. For me, it's because I like to get like the limited edition console. Right, the one that's going to be a different color or comes with a special game pack, and they never do that at launch, man. You get the bare bones system, so I want to wait until there's like an exclusive. Give me it in a blue color. Even something as stupid as that, I'm like, ooh, I get all excited.
Right?
It's going to have a neat box.
Well, I mean, you nowadays, we have the internet, and there's so much hype around these consoles before they come out that we go on there, and there's people already doing mock-ups. There was mock-ups of the PS4 and the Xbox One before we even knew what the boxes looked like. So there's all that hype there, and now we're seeing like there was an article, I don't even remember where I saw it, but it was like the PS4 in 25 different colors with like different games emblems on there, and I was just drooling because I was just like, I would love to get a Final Fantasy 15.
I haven't seen any mock-ups of the Mad Catz gaming system. I wonder if that will be a popular one.
Yeah, it will for the cheap parents that like to go and buy the third-party Mad Catz consoles even. Yeah.
So one of your favorite RPGs is Final Fantasy VII, correct?
Yeah, and FF7 actually, it's kind of funny because when people get, when you go and ask someone like what their favorite Final Fantasy is,
right? They always say 6 because that's the right one. But tell me, what's great about FF7? Because maybe I'm missing something.
So I'm gonna just come right out and say it. Number one, it was my first Final Fantasy.
Totally.
So I think most people, if you ask them what their favorite Final Fantasy is, they'll usually default to their first one, because it is such a gateway into, as a series, it's such a gateway into what video games can be. So, and I would probably be right on board with FF6 if that was my first one.
Yeah.
And I think I'm ready to come out and admit that as far as like story, characters, things like that, FF6 is actually going to be the superior game between the two. But FF7 holds a special place because it came out when I was 10 years old, and at that point translation errors, things like that weren't a big deal to me because the amount of reading that it took to actually get through the game. Number one, it helped me to take like dialects, things like that, the way people would use slang. And I would kind of like read it and be like, what is that word? It's like Gonna was going to.
Yeah.
And I was like, gonna, what the heck is gonna? But then
I use that word all the time.
Right, me too. And then when I type it out and everything, now it makes sense to me. But you don't read gonna in Curious George books, right? So
I don't read a lot of Curious George books.
Well, but your literacy is not my problem, my friend. So at the time, it was like I was reading and I was having fun. It was almost like a comic book sort of situation because I was getting attached to these characters and attached to the story. As a matter of fact, I remember getting to the Shinra building within the first few hours of the game, and being like, well, it looks like I'm almost at the end of the first disc.
Yeah.
And I was so wrong, but it's like there was it was just kind of like these things in games that I hadn't seen before, as far as like the story shifting and changing, right before my eyes, doing things that I didn't expect. So, I mean, and I'd never heard anything about the game before besides seeing it in Pepsi commercials, so.
Yeah. Oh, no, that game was huge. Thanks for sharing that with me, man.
Totally.
And we kind of touched base on this earlier before the show, but when it comes to what makes a great game, is it the graphics of the game? Is it the gameplay? What weighs the most to you, like when you're enjoying a game?
All right, gang, that's all we have time for in this episode. Be sure to stick around for part 2 of Retro Talk with your hosts Retro Prime and Coty Corvette. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you next time.